back to Demigod Debut. I'm Mal, Grand Canyon appreciator and longtime Percy Jackson fan.
And I'm Julie, Percy Jackson newbie, and girl who cannot believe she let Mal talk her into reading another series.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Because this is a podcast about Julie reading The Heroes of Olympus for the first time. Huge. And we are joined once again by Robert, aka the damn meme page.
Hey.
And this is like your third time here, I think.
Second? Have I been here 3 times and I've forgotten about...
You've got at least 3. It's gotta be 3.
Titan's Curse, Last Olympian, at least.
Oh, Titan's Curse, Last Olympian. Yes, I was here for a Last Olympian chapter. I forgot about that. I have the memory of a squid. I apologize because I have been staying up late editing. I'm so tired. I don't know. I think this comes out like after the video essay comes out. Before? I don't care. I'm so tired.
Oh, yes. We've got a big Lightning Thief video essay about to happen. Huge.
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, hello, Sonic Screwdriver. I'm going to put you away. Because if I don't, I'm just going to keep fidgeting with you and accidentally turning you on while I record. But hello, hi, I've returned.
You've returned. I don't know if I've asked you this question. If I have, oh well. Do you have a favorite Percy Jackson universe character?
Oh, I mean, other than Percy himself, I have to not include him or else it'd be unfair. Oh geez. Yeah, can I only choose from characters that Julie has interacted with, or can I choose future characters?
I mean, you can say a name.
I really, you know what? Lester Papadopoulos really grew on me.
Interesting choice.
Yeah, so I'll have to say him, if not Percy. Who's Lester, and when you meet him, find out in a bajillion years.
I didn't think we were going to get here, so who knows if we'll get there. So, we read the first 3 chapters of The Lost Hero this week. Crazy. What an introduction.
All right, everyone, we got to knock it out of the way all together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Who the fuck is Jason?
Yeah.
That was my first thing I wrote. Who the fuck is Jason? I'm like, okay.
It is a canon event, I fear, that everyone...
We are all asking that, even Jason.
Even Jason.
Yeah.
It is a canon event for anyone who's going from Percy Jackson Olympians to the Heroes of Olympus, where you read these 5 books, you think to yourself, this is a grand adventure. Oh my god, what's going to happen to my boy Percy next? And then you open up the first page of The Lost Hero, and you see the name Jason.
Who's this guy?
Like Jason of the Argonauts?
Jason Derulo? Like, what are we doing?
Jason Derulo.
Yes, actually. It's actually just Jason Derulo, and that's Jason Derulo with amnesia.
Yeah. Well, he got it from falling down the stairs.
Oh, at the Met Gala?
Yeah. The Met, there's a tie-in there.
Right, because both series could start at the Met, and that would be a good parallel, actually. I think you're onto something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really wish that I remember reading this book for the first time, and if I had a who the heck is Jason moment, I don't. Robert, do you remember reading this book for the first time?
Absolutely, I do. I remember finishing Last Olympian, and I mean, I read this as the series was coming out, so it was like, oh wow, new Rick Riordan book. I don't think this is a spoiler, but this is the first time Rick was like, I'm not going to make more Percy Jackson books. Cue to a year later. Here's a new Percy Jackson book, and it's called The Lost Hero. It's really funny because after the most recent book in like the main timeline, he was done effectively writing for these characters, and then the show came out. He's like, what if I wrote more books for Disney so that I can sweeten the deal and get this show made? And now we have more books with more books on the way, and it's like, my guy, you're in your 60s. What about retiring?
This man will never stop writing, and perhaps he should.
You have enough money, bro.
He's not writing like he's running out of time. He's writing like he's immortal.
Yeah. And should he? But that's, that's not important. No, there's only one book in this series that I actually vividly remember reading, and it's because I've never been more stressed out while reading a book in my entire life, and I will let you guess which book that is, but I do not remember any of the ones before that one. But then I do remember the book after that one, so I guess I'm giving it away. I do remember the last book because that came out later, and I did get my phone taken away in high school pre-cal class because I was reading it under the table on my phone the day it came out, so...
That last book was where I originally stopped reading the Percy Jackson book because I was like, oh, I'm getting too old for this silly shenanigans of a series. I have all 10 books, that's all I need. And then the next series is coming out, I'm like, I don't need to read this, I don't care. And then I listened to a Percy Jackson podcast and my life got flipped turned upside down.
And here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are. For me, 10 years removed from the time I was like, oh, I'm too old to read Percy Jackson. Here I am now.
You're never too old to read Percy Jackson. All right, yes, and I'm gonna try not to front load with all my thoughts and feelings on this book because I want Julie to get to experience it. So, chapter 1, we have done away with our fun chapter titles. Chapter 1 is simply Jason.
Terrible.
You get beyond your who the heck is Jason, and you get kind of a fun opening line. Like, even before he got electrocuted, Jason was having a rotten day. That's great. I'm intrigued.
Okay, but compare what's the better opening line? Look, I didn't want to be a half blood, or even before he got electrocuted, Jason was having a rotten day.
Listen, look, I didn't want to be a half blood is in a league of its own. That's not even in this conversation. I'm just saying that this opening line is also good in a less good way. So our friend Jason, is he our friend? I don't know. He wakes up on a bus. He doesn't know anything, not even his own age. He's holding hands with a girl he doesn't know, but he says this is not the bad part because at least the girl is cute. What a man priority. But also, I get it.
So true.
But also, this would be a bad part of the day for me. Like, you're just sitting on the bus holding hands. How long have you been holding hands? Like, I am not a hand holder. Long-term hand holding sounds like a nightmare to me. Like, other kinds of touching, like arm around the shoulder, fine.
Boo.
I don't like holding hands. Like, I just become very aware of my fingers. I overthink it. I'm like, am I gripping too tight? Do I have like a loose fish hand? And like, it's terrible. I can't enjoy it. I am not a handhold enjoyer, and do not try to hold my hand.
Fake lover behavior.
Yeah, I'm not a hand holder. I wish I was. I'm not.
I will grip that hand. I don't care how sweaty it gets. I'm like, we're holding hands. I don't care.
Oh, I thought you were threatening Mal. I'm like, Mal, I'm gonna hold your hand.
Mal, we're holding hands next time I see you.
Ugh,
I don't care.
For you, fine.
Okay.
Rip.
But just know that I will be overthinking every second. Like, I'll be like, are my hands sweaty? Am I holding too tight? Am I holding too loose?
That's fine.
Should I be swinging my arms more? Should I be swinging my arms less? Like,
The answer is yes to all of those, actually.
simultaneously holding too tight and too loose.
Mm-hmm. It happens.
Schrodinger's handhold. So, having a character with amnesia is kind of a fun way to give us exposition because we've got to introduce all these characters to Jason and also to the reader. So, first, we have the girl Jason is holding hands with. He doesn't give us her name at first, but her name is Piper, as we find out later. And he describes her as having chocolate brown hair, cut kind of choppy and uneven, and she's got eyes that change color like a kaleidoscope. She wears no makeup, like she's trying not to draw attention to herself, but she's gorgeous anyway. Classic. And if I had to guess, she's probably not like the other girls. That's not fair, I shouldn't say that, but
She's not like the other girl. She doesn't need to wear makeup to look pretty. Oh my gosh, he's like a John Green protagonist.
it is a little bit giving like 2010s John Green protagonist. And we just have to live with that. We also have this coach character who is said to be like 5'0", buff as hell, likes calling kids cupcake. We find out his name is Coach Hedge, and if you couldn't tell based on the fact that his last name is Hedge, aka a plant, we do find out very quickly that he is a satyr.
I never drew that connection before.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense because like Grover Underwood,
Yeah.
and then Coach Head. Oh my god, I never fucking
Plants.
clocked that. This book has been out for 14 years, and I'm clocking that for the first time. Wild.
It's amazing the new things that you learn when you reread a book. So, Coach Hedge is a very violent satyr because he keeps threatening to hit the students with a baseball bat, which, yikes, Grover would never. But also, fun fact, Coach Hedge was mentioned in The Last Olympian. When Percy and Annabeth are sorting reports in the big house, they find a letter written to Grover on a leaf about a satyr who was attacked by a giant badger outside Toronto, and it's signed like from Gleason Hedge. And so, you know, in The Last Olympian, this is just a segue to telling us that, like, Grover's missing. No one has seen Grover. But it is kind of fun on a reread to be like, hey, it's Coach Hedge. So I didn't point that out at the time, but for your information. And Jason says that he's not supposed to be there. And we are then introduced to the boy in front of him, Leo, who says, yeah, we were all framed. I didn't run away 6 times. Piper didn't steal a BMW. Piper then insists that she didn't steal it, but somehow talked the dealer into lending it to her. Interesting. And it's also interesting that we get no cover story as to why Jason is supposedly there. We aren't given even, like, a fake reason he ended up at this school for troublemakers, you know? We also get a description of Leo. He's said to look like a Latino Santa elf. What a description.
Is that racist?
Is it?
I don't think it's great.
It feels weird.
It's not great.
Yeah, so if you haven't noticed, this is kind of the first time that Rick is trying to write non-white main characters, and there's quite a bit of it that you just kind of go, that's not great.
It's like, oh, buddy, you're trying your best, but you need to try harder.
Yeah, so it's just we appreciate the effort, we appreciate you branching out, but
Get a sensitivity reader next time.
some choices were made.
Yeah.
Leo is also said to have a mischievous smile and he's constantly moving. That demigod ADHD baby. Jason tells Leo he doesn't know him, and Coach Hedge interrupts. Leo then tells Coach he can't hear him and to use his megaphone, and when he does, it first gives him a Darth Vader voice, and then it says the cow says moo, so kind of getting a view of Leo's technical skills, which is very fun. And then we get back to the Jason thing, and he finally manages to convince his friends, or not really friends, that he is not messing around. He doesn't know Leo or Piper or where they are, what they're doing, and worst of all, he does not know who he is. Dun dun dun.
Do any of us really know who we are?
That's a great question. Julie, would you say you know who you are?
No, I go through like an identity crisis every month, I feel like. Where I like try to rebrand my whole life after scrolling on Pinterest for too long.
Mm.
So perhaps this is not amnesia, but too much time on Pinterest for Jason.
Maybe he's doing a rebrand, you know?
Maybe so. Love this for him. Yeah, so Leo is very helpful in continuing our exposition, and so he gives us kind of a crash course. You know, it's crash course for both us and Jason. So they go to the wilderness school in Nevada, which he says means they are quote unquote bad kids and were sent there by family or a court or whoever. And again, we get no explanation as to how Jason got there. Leo then tries to convince him that since they're best friends, that means Jason gives him all of his dessert and does all his chores. But Piper, who is no fun, shuts that down. But, like, that feels very best friend coded to me. Like, if one of my best friends was like, I have amnesia, I would absolutely use that to, like, mess with them a little bit.
Come on, man.
Does that make me a bad person?
So what I'm hearing is never develop amnesia near Mal, or she will take advantage of it.
I mean, if you can avoid it, I would probably not.
If I can avoid sustaining significant brain damage that leads to amnesia, then you will be nice and not mess with me.
Yeah.
You know what? Fair enough.
Actually, no, I can't promise not messing with you because that's. Anyway.
So I need to ask, did anyone else with this whole, like, school for troubled kids, did anyone think about the camp in Holes?
Not until you just said that, but now I'm thinking about the camp in Holes.
Oh boy.
And every time I think about Holes, I think about the giant pit of bearded dragons. And they're like, oh, they're the most poisonous lizards. And it's just a bunch of bearded dragons who are really nice and who are acting.
Yeah, it's the most poisonous lizard. Didn't you hear?
I don't know if my bearded dragon is aware of that, but I'll let her know. We also have another fun little character who kind of pulls Piper away from our group. This guy, Dylan, he insists that they need to be partners. He's wearing a Dallas Cowboys jersey, which is a red flag.
Huge.
And it says that he smiles like he was God's gift to juvenile delinquent girls everywhere. And I hate him.
Do any of you have a positive experience with a Dylan? Because I've never had a positive experience with a Dylan.
I actually had a close family friend growing up, and his name was Dylan, and he's lovely. So.
He's hiding something, I can tell you that.
I don't know that I know a Dylan.
I mean, he might be. We haven't seen each other in years.
Julie, consider yourself lucky. Dylans are.
Yeah.
And now, if you're a wonderful Dylan who's listening to this podcast, by all means, we're not talking about you. Wink.
You're
But
one of the good ones.
Or maybe we are, and you're hiding something.
Drop in the comments what you're hiding.
This podcast is anti-Dylan. If your name is Dylan, please spill all your deepest dark secrets
Yeah.
to us. Thank you very much. Then we'll trust you. We'll be pro any Dylan that spills the tea. I do enjoy the way Leo makes fun of him, though, with the like, I'm Dylan, I'm so cool, I want to date myself, but can't figure out how. You want to date me instead? You're so lucky. Have you known people like that?
Have you never met a narcissist before? They're all like that. I've dated them. Like, it's not great.
oof.
No, you're right. That's also, Jason calls Leo weird for this. This is not the weirdest thing he does. This is hilarious.
Jason has no sense of humor. He's in the middle of his own crisis, though. He can't, like, catch on to the humor, I guess.
He is, I know.
A little busy.
Yes. And also, Leo is, he's making the best of a bad situation. He is thrilled that this means he's going to be able to use all of his old jokes. Jason then follows him into the museum thinking that, like, wow, my life must be really messed up if this is my best friend.
That's so mean to
He's being
say.
so mean.
Yeah, that's so mean to say, especially when it's someone like you technically don't know.
Like, we get it. You're having a crisis, but it's not Leo's fault.
You know, maybe it is
Yeah.
Leave
Leo's.
him alone. You don't know him like that.
Maybe it is Leo's fault. Who knows?
Maybe Leo did this to him. Could be. All right, so we go into the museum. It says that it's a museum about the Grand Canyon. Jason says it's owned by the Wallapai tribe, and he says he's way too distracted to pay much attention, which is fair, given the situation. I, however, love an internet rabbit hole, so I decided to look up this museum. And first, I just Googled Grand Canyon Museum, and I couldn't find this specific museum. I really should have started with the like horseshoe shaped glass observation deck that they end up on later, because that seems to be the most like unique thing. But oh well, hindsight. I ended up finding it by googling the Wallapai tribe and ended up on their website. Learned some things about them, kind of cool. There are about 2,300 members of their tribe, about 1,300 of which live on their reservation in Arizona where the museum is located. Their capital town is called Peach Springs and was apparently the inspiration for Radiator Springs from the movie Cars.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, they're famous for a honestly pretty excellent movie about cars.
I wouldn't go that far.
You don't think Cars is excellent?
I don't think any of the Cars movies are good.
Life is a highway, baby.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, that's fine. Except I think the singer of that song is in deep trouble right now. So
That doesn't surprise me. I can't believe you don't like Cars. The first Cars is excellent.
the first Cars is a mistake.
Inviting you on this podcast was a mistake, clearly.
I don't know who convinced who was running Disney at the time, Bob Iger. I don't know who convinced him like, hey, you know what would make a great movie? Talking cars, and the main character is a race car voiced by Owen Wilson.
Speed. He is Speed. Come on.
Listen, it's funny. It's not a good movie. I say the same thing about the Percy Jackson movie.
No, you cannot put Cars and the Percy Jackson movie in the same. Oh my gosh. This is.
Honestly, I put the Percy Jackson movie above Cars.
Get out. Leave. What is wrong with you?
Wow.
This is like fundamentally changing my view of you right now, and I need you to know that.
Now, listen, now if that was weird and I said like I didn't like an actual good Pixar movie, then you can insult me. But I stand firm in that Cars is not a particularly good movie.
No, okay, I don't know why I'm writing so hard for Cars right now, because like if you were to ask me like what's your favorite Disney movie, Cars would not even be in the top 10. So
It's also not a Disney movie; it's a Pixar movie.
well, that's they're kind of one and the same. But wow, not liking Cars. That's a take for sure. Okay, well, anyway, moving on from that. So, the museum that they are in, it is called Grand Canyon West, and its big draw is the Skywalk, aka a big glass horseshoe-shaped bridge. This does make an appearance later in the chapter, and according to their website, Skywalk is strong enough to hold 70 fully loaded 747 passenger jets. Coach Hez also says this in the book, but
Okay, but how much is that in American football fields?
what's the weight of an American football field?
This is something I will Google. Just keep talking.
Okay. Also, since I started Googling this, I've been getting ads on Instagram for Grand Canyon West. And if anyone wants to go, I'm like this close to being influenced. But also, every time this happens, when I Google something on my computer and then I start getting ads for it on my phone, I'm like, stop sharing my data. I feel watched, you know? But anyway, anyone want to go to Grand Canyon West?
I'm so down.
Hopefully we have a better time than these three.
Road trip.
All right, so in the museum, some of who Jason kind of clocks to be the popular kids start making fun of Piper, being high-key kind of racist, asking her if it's good to be back on the res and like if she would get into the museum free if she did a rain dance. Not great.
You can tell Rick used to teach teenagers because damn, like it's right on the money how mean they are.
Oh, definitely accurate. Piper clarifies that her dad is Cherokee, and maybe they didn't know that because you would need a few brain cells to tell the difference. And then they bring up her absent mom and how she's never known her. And they also say her dad's probably too drunk to work and that's why she started stealing. Like, just truly, truly going for the jugular. And so Jason is ready to fight for her honor, despite not knowing her. But Leo stops him, says Piper doesn't want them fighting her battles, and if those girls knew who her dad really was, they'd all be bowing down and saying we're not worthy. So, who could her dad be? Who knows? They then go out onto the canyon, onto the little glass walkway. Jason looks at it, takes in the grandeur and the beauty of the canyon. He's impressed, thinks about how it looks like some crazy gods took a knife to the desert, and then he immediately gets a headache and has no idea where he got that idea, but feels like it's something important that he needs to know. Interesting. There's also a weird storm gathering just around them. Also interesting. Jason then reaches into his pocket, pulls out a weird gold coin with a battle axe, a face with laurels, and the inscription, it's in Latin, so illness? So I googled this because that's what I do. I'm the Googler. And normally I would never use the AI summary because it's,
AI. It's
Trash.
AI, yeah.
trash. It's AI.
You're anti-AI on this podcast.
We are, for sure. However, this also was an internet moment that kind of freaked me out because specifically what the Google AI summary said was Ivlis is the Latin spelling of Julius, specifically referring to Julius Caesar. In the Percy Jackson series, it's the name inscribed on Jason Grace's golden coin, which transforms into a sword. While not the character's name, it is the inscription on his weapon.
Huh. Look at that.
Why did it specifically mention in the Percy Jackson series? I was like, hello?
Maybe it's just more data harvesting. They know who you are.
Right, that's what I was like, do they know that I am regularly Googling things to do with the Percy Jackson series, or is this the result that everyone gets? And I don't think I can be like, hey, listeners of this podcast, please Google this word and see if, because I feel like listeners of this podcast also might be Googling Percy Jackson things. So it's like, I don't know that we could have a true experiment here, but
Here, I have a good experiment. Hold on. I can text my boyfriend who does not Google Percy Jackson stuff. Hey, Google this word for me and tell me what it says.
Okay.
There you go.
And thank him for his service.
All right. He should report back in a couple minutes.
Now we're making more people use AI. I kind of hate that.
AI
But
is
I guess
just...
you can't Google things without AI anymore.
No, you can't, unfortunately.
Oh, it's so bad for the environment. Grover would die
Grover would kill us.
if he could see us. All right. Anyway, Jason doesn't know why he has this coin or why he might need it, but he feels like he's gonna, and we will soon find out more about this coin. So they start to work on their little worksheet, and I wouldn't even bring it up because the worksheet is so inconsequential. But one of the question examples given is name 3 sedimentary strata you observe. And I don't claim to be a geologist by any means, but I do have a high school understanding of rocks. And this is a weird question. This is a weird question.
I don't know why the phrase "I have a high school understanding of rocks" got me, but that got me.
Well, I'm not I didn't take geology in college, but I've learned earth science. I've learned enough earth science to be that was a weird question. I did also consult someone who is actually a geologist that I know, and she was like, no, that's a weird question. She's like, if I was going to ask that question, I would probably just say layers like a normal person, because that's what strata means. And she's like, I would also probably specify that name the types of sedimentary rock found in the layers, because it's not even really clear what this is looking for. It feels like Rick Googled questions about rocks and saw the word strata and went ooh, that sounds like I know what I'm talking about. But also if you're putting this on a worksheet and you're gonna expect the kids to identify the rocks, you can't reliably identify rocks just by sight. The Grand Canyon is made of mostly shale and sandstone and limestone, and you can't just look at sandstone and limestone from a distance and identify them. A lot of times they look very similar and they come in different colors, so you can't just look at them and know. You got to look at the way that they break, or even better, put acid on them, and the one that fizzes is limestone. It's a bad question, and the fact that it's on this worksheet is really making me question the education that they're getting at this school for troubled kids. And again, this doesn't matter, but whoever put this on a worksheet should be ashamed because it's a bad question.
I mean, everyone knows you need more than just sight to identify rocks, and you gotta give them a little lick. You gotta give them a little touch.
Exactly. A lot of rocks you do have to lick to know
Friends,
what they are.
please do not lick rocks that you find on the street. Only lick rocks that are at monuments. Those are the good rocks. Those are the government rocks.
Yes. Government rocks are okay to lick.
What are we talking about?
I don't know.
Oh my god. We've lost the plot is what happened.
Uh-huh. This is only the first chapter of this book, guys, so we gotta get it together.
Oh, Mac has gotten back to me. Let's.
Oh,
Oh,
more on the coin.
all right, back to the coin. Julius Caesar. It is the Latin form of spelling Julius. In Jason's Grace's coin, it's the Percy Jackson series possesses a golden coin.
Okay, so that just comes up.
It just comes up. He does not Google Percy Jackson stuff in his free time. I can guarantee you.
Interesting. Wow. Google AI is really out here giving us Percy Jackson information.
Promoting the hell out of Percy Jackson.
All right. Huh. Oh, also, Leo's not even doing the rock worksheet, so Leo has no idea about the strata.
Hell yeah, brother.
He's spending his time using pipe cleaners to make a helicopter that actually spins.
Helicopter.
I feel like we're sleeping on that because that's really cool.
Mhm.
And he like sends it flying into the Grand Canyon, and then Jason's like, "That's really crazy." And Leo's like, "Well, it would have been better if I had rubber bands." Like, what? He's just out here doing stuff. So they end up having a conversation in which Jason kind of insists that he must have just shown up this morning and everyone else has to have fake memories of him, which really is a much wilder theory than I simply have amnesia. But he remembers that Coach Hedge had seemed to know that Jason didn't belong on the bus earlier. So he goes to talk to Coach, and Coach asks Jason if he's the one who is making the thunderstorm that seems to be gathering just around them. And he asks why Jason is here messing up his job. Coach says he's been smelling monster for days now, and Jason has a powerful way with the mist, but can't fool him. Except Jason smells like a half-blood, not a monster, so who is he? Jason, of course, does not know, and Coach can tell he's telling the truth when he says this. Hedge then reveals that apparently Camp is sending an extraction team for a quote-unquote special package, which initially Coach had thought to be the two half-bloods he was already watching, but now he thinks this might be Jason. Also, Jason starts getting a headache again at all this talk of half-bloods and monsters. And then suddenly the storm gets worse, and Coach calls for everyone to get inside and come off the skywalk. So that's our first chapter. Any other thoughts?
Like the government rocks.
Amen. So chapter 2 has the same chapter title as the first chapter. It is also Jason. We start with a miniature hurricane forming outside, which of course makes me think of my boy Percy, but it is not in fact him, but Dylan. Who could have seen that coming? The Dallas Cowboys jersey was an indicator.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Houston, so I am anti-Dallas. So they get all the mortals inside, which is like very nice of Dylan to do. And then the door slams shut, and so Piper, Leo, Jason, Coach, and Dylan are all trapped out on the sky deck. Coach then has his satyr reveal because his hat blows off, and I love the way it says he's got two little bumps, like when a cartoon character bonks their head.
Rating him for filth.
What a way to describe
Like,
horns.
god damn, Jason.
And his baseball bat, turns out it's actually a tree branch club. And Dylan kind of taunts him, saying he's getting old and losing his touch because he's been around all semester and Coach hasn't figured it out. Dylan then makes a little tornado and throws Leo into the canyon. But luckily, Leo manages to grab onto the wall about 50 feet below. Speaking of licking rocks, did make me think a little bit of that, like, mountain goat meme where it's like, they crave that mineral, you know? So Leo is there in the Grand Canyon licking the rocks.
The government rocks.
The government rocks. Well, actually, the Wallapai rocks, because they are
true.
on
Yes,
the Wallapai Reservation. So this is the part of the Grand Canyon that is not the government rocks. And also, this is like the second time in any of the Percy Jackson universe books that Camp's rock climbing training would have come in handy. Too bad Leo has not been to camp yet. So, I guess speaking of goats and craving that mineral, Coach Hedge plans to climb down to get Leo, and Jason immediately recognizes him as a faun, which Coach is quick to correct. He says fauns are Roman, he is a satyr. Dylan kind of dissolves into smoke, but somehow still has the same face, which I hate. Jason calls him a Ventus, or storm spirit, and Dylan says he's known about Leo and Piper for weeks, but was warned by his mistress that a third special demigod was coming. Then two more Venti friends join him. Piper kind of signals to Jason that he should hold their attention while she hits them from behind, and he has a moment where he thinks, wow, she's cute, smart, and violent. I wish I remembered having her as a girlfriend. And you know what? I get it. I too like my girl smart and a little bit scary. And then Jason is struck by lightning so strong it blasts off his left shoe. Thanks for that, Dylan.
That used to be a shirt, you know, that's like, I went to the Grand Canyon and I lost my shoe.
I went to the Grand Canyon, all I got was this t-shirt and lost my left shoe. Also, according to Dylan, this was enough lightning to kill 20 men, but Jason simply gets up, mostly unharmed, and says, my turn. Which is just cheesy enough to still be kind of fun. And he flips his coin, which he catches, and he's now holding a golden sword. And so the important question is the coin sword cooler than Percy's
No.
pin sword?
I think it is.
Gasp.
I think it's flashier. I think it's less
Listen,
practical.
absolutely.
It can fit in tiny purses.
So can a pin.
Not my purses, bro. My purse is like this big. A pen's not fitting in there. A coin, yes.
Imagine trying to be in like the fits of battle and you're like rummaging around. God forbid you have any other coins in your purse.
It's like, oh, this one's just a regular quarter.
I don't carry coins. I don't pay for things.
And also, the idea of like flipping a coin is wild to me. It's a lot more work than just uncapping a pen.
Right. Also, my concern is, okay, you flip the coin, it's got to land pretty perfectly. Like, you've got to be able to grab it by the hilt. Like, how many times do you think Jason has grabbed it by the blade accidentally? Because I guarantee you I would.
No, it's a magic thing. It's a magic thing.
Imagine the one time he like flips the coin and it lands perfectly on its side.
Yeah, and then it's just like, what do we do now? I don't know. I think, like, honestly, watching this is probably a lot cooler than Pin Sword, but I kind of feel like if I was watching someone on the battlefield, like, flip a coin and all of a sudden it's a sword, I'd be like, okay. Like, why? That's a little too flashy for me. But, you know, Julie likes flashy, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
The cool golden sword is useful, though. Jason uses it to absorb a bolt of lightning and also vaporize two of the storm spirits. And luckily, whatever amnesia has afflicted him doesn't seem to have affected his fighting, so thank goodness for that. Also, Coach and Leo have now returned, and Coach is mad that only Dylan is left because he likes a challenge. And Leo's like, hey man, maybe don't ask for more challenges. Dylan says his mistress is going to destroy all demigods and that this is a war they cannot win, blah blah blah. I feel like we've heard all this before. He then tries to take Jason with him as he leaves, but Piper manages to tackle him, which sends her flying off the edge of the skywalk. Hedge tells Jason to go save her, launches himself at Dylan and gets taken instead, but, you know, not before kicking him and also calling him a cupcake. On brand for, like, the chapter and a half that we've known Hedge. Jason then leaps off the skywalk after Piper, but he does at least think, yeah, I'm a lunatic, as he does it. Doesn't stop him from doing it, but he at least recognizes that, hey, this is a wild thing.
Crazy.
But, you know, turns out he actually isn't crazy. He catches Piper, and they don't, in fact, slam into the Colorado River because Jason can fly. At first, it's kind of more like floating, and he's just kind of like holding Piper, and they have kind of this moment at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. And then he manages to use the wind to travel upwards. It's a cool power. I'm going to refrain from comparing this to Percy yet again. We've already compared their swords, and it's not the point. But I'm just saying, there's a river at the bottom of the canyon. Percy could have also done this. But that's neither here nor there. So they use the wind to travel upwards, and we meet back up with Leo, who is pretty sure that he has hallucinated this whole thing, which, valid response, King. He also tells us that Coach Hedge never came back down after Dylan dragged him off. Bummer.
R.I.P. to our real one.
R.I.P. to Coach Hedge. Jason then flips the sword and it becomes a coin again. I feel like this probably looks more ridiculous than the other way around. Like, coin to sword is cool, but like flipping your sword, that feels like akin to you hit a home run and you do like the most egregious bat flip. It's like, yeah, I've destroyed all these monsters. Sword flip.
I love a good bat flip when the timing is right. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah. But then also, like, if you had a fight that doesn't go well, then you have to like flip your sword. That's embarrassing.
That would be bad. I'll give you that.
So like in this moment when Jason has bested all these like Ventai storm spirits, like, yeah, cool, you can flip your sword. Piper tries to get answers from Jason about what the heck just happened because he seemed to know what was going on, but he's got no more real information about anything than he did 10 minutes ago. Still doesn't know who he is. He can just fight. They then notice a chariot being pulled by Pegasi in the sky, which Jason assumes is this extraction team that Coach mentioned. In the chariot, we've got two teenagers in orange shirts. One is a big muscly dude, and the other is a blonde girl with fierce, startling gray eyes. She's here, my girl.
But where's Poissy?
And that's the age-old question. They also, like, don't give us her name for a moment, as if startling gray eyes and blonde hair could be anyone else, which, like, I guess it could be, because we don't actually know, like, where in time this story is existing. Because I guess this could be a different child of Athena.
Isn't
So,
it canon that all the children of Athena have blonde hair and gray eyes?
yes. So, like, really, this could be someone else, but thank goodness it's not, because it's Annabeth, and I'm glad she's here. She demands to know where he is. Jason, of course, is like, where's who? I know nothing. Like, he doesn't know who he is. How's he supposed to know where someone else is? She then asks about Hedge. Leo says he got taken by some tornadoes, which Jason clarifies were Venti. Annabeth calls them, this is a name, Anemoi Thueli? Because that's the Greek term. Sorry, Venti is better. It's better. It's snappier.
Maybe those Romans knew what they were doing with Latin.
It's the name of a Starbucks drink. Like, it's correct. And that's the only time that I'm gonna pick the Roman term over the Greek term, I think, with the storm
Oh,
spirits.
there's a couple of Roman terms that I prefer over the Greek terms that come along
Hmm.
in the book.
Jason kind of explains what happened. It's very clearly not what Annabeth wants to hear. And she says, no, no, no. She told me he would be here. She told me if I came here, I'd find the answer. And the big guy who's in the chariot with her points at Jason's feet, says he's the guy with one shoe, so he must be the answer. And actually, fun fact, there's a myth origin for this. So, like our previous main boy, who was named after the Greek hero Perseus, Jason is also named after a Greek hero, but, you know, Jason is a much more normal name. Anyway, TLDR, Jason was the true king of another Greek name for you here, Iolcos? It's a city in Greece.
Sure.
The current king got a prophecy saying that a man with one sandal would come to overthrow him. And basically, on his way back to Iolcos, Jason ends up having to carry Hera disguised as an old woman across a river. In the process, he loses a shoe. And then, like, in order to claim the throne, he ends up having to prove himself by going to find the Golden Fleece. But, like, we already did that part of the myth 4 books ago. But anyway, there's more to Jason's whole deal. But that's kind of what's relevant right now. Annabeth, refuses to believe that Jason is her answer. And she starts screaming at the sky, what do you want from me? What have you done with him?
Girl, get a grip. Who are you talking to? He's just a guy. He's just a man.
Big Buff Butch tells her that they should get these 3 to camp and go from there. Jason says he's not going anywhere with Annabeth, who looks like she wants to kill him. And Butch says you should give her a break. She's having a hard time. She had a vision. She needed to come here to solve her problem because she's been looking for a camper who's been missing for 3 days. And that camper is none other than everyone's favorite boy, her boyfriend, Percy Jackson. Dun dun dun. And Julie, do you see why I had us read the Staff of Hermes before we started this one?
Yes.
I needed some cute Percabeth action before we're about to have to spend several weeks with Percy missing.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
That it does. That it does. Also, this is just funny to compare to the way that Percy was acting in The Titan's Curse, when Annabeth was gone. Because also, like, when Percy was crashing out over Annabeth being gone, we were getting it from his first person perspective in his head. So we were, like, getting all the internal angst. But with Annabeth, it's almost funnier because you're seeing it from someone else's perspective who, like, doesn't know her.
Yeah.
And she just comes in and is incredibly mean and is, like, yelling at some unseen god. And, Percy was also kind of rude. He also kind of he yelled at Artemis and was like, who do you think you are? So, like, they really are soulmates. They have a very similar crash out. But anyway, even if Annabeth was being worse, I would still defend her. Like, these 3 don't deserve to have her anger taken out on them, but I support women's wrongs. As we've learned. And, like, they don't know the history that Percabeth and I have, okay? Like, this is hard for all of us.
Yeah, the history that you
I
have
feel
with
for her.
Percabeth after completely not knowing they kissed until like the very last one.
Okay, but I knew the important.
Arguably, their first kiss is the most important kiss, but
Never letting that go.
you wouldn't know that since you didn't remember it.
Is it? Because they never mention it again and don't do anything about it for another year.
Yeah.
I do think it's the best kiss, but that's just me.
Mm.
Well, the best kiss in the first series. Okay, anything else on chapter 2?
Can I just say the character being named Butch with a rainbow tattoo?
Uh-huh.
Just, it's a lot.
What a guy.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride, by the way.
So if you're straight, get out of here.
Yes, I also did receive an all caps text from Julie today. It was like, Percy is missing? And was it intentional that you used the animation to make, like, missing get bigger?
I did. Yeah, I suggested it, and I was like, it'll be funnier if I do it.
And it was. It worked. It's a canon event, and here you are, experiencing things. All right, so chapter 3, new title. This one is Piper. It's our first POV switch. And Piper kind of starts us off on an interesting note. She says maybe after everything she should be feeling a little more crazy, but instead she just feels dread because it's starting, just like the dream said. A little more mystery for us. And as she rides in the chariot back to camp, she's thinking about Jason and how she worked all semester to get him to notice her, and now she's stuck in the worst do-over ever because he doesn't know who she is. Annabeth tells them they're headed to Camp Half-Blood, which is not a term that Piper likes as a mixed race person. Jason tells her it means half god, half mortal, and Annabeth notes he seems to know a lot about this. She says that her mom is Athena, Butch's mom is Iris, the rainbow goddess. Leo thinks this is very funny. Even funnier when he learns that Butch is great with the Pegasi, and he says that rainbows and ponies are very manly. And I say, get that toxic masculinity out of here.
Let Butch just throw Leo off the cliff, please and thank you.
Oh no, Leo got thrown off the back of the chariot.
Oh no.
Oh
Oh
well.
no, Leo's dead.
Oops.
Oh no, Leo's dead.
You have your sonic screwdriver, I have a regular screwdriver that I'm playing with at my...
Maybe we're just both like a little bit neurodivergent. Actually, I am very neurodivergent. I have diagnosed ADHD, Lamau.
Undiagnosed, but I'm pretty sure something's wrong.
Undiagnosed, but something's not right.
Anyway, so the chariot gets attacked by storm spirits. This time they're ones that look like stallions. Annabeth tells them to hold on tight, and they crash land in the lake at camp, and some naiads take them to shore. The Pegasi are okay, thank goodness. The kids too, I guess. And Piper tells us there's about 20 campers around between the ages of 9 to about 18 or 19. Will comes running, tells Annabeth that he said she could borrow the chariot and not destroy it. And I think we can assume this is probably the same flying chariot that Clarice and Michael were fighting over in the last Olympian. So it appears to be back in the custody of the Apollo cabin, considering Will is loaning it out. Will asks if these 3 new half-bloods have been claimed already, since they look older than 13. If you remember, this was part of what Percy asked the gods for at the end of the last book, to claim their children by the time they turn 13. And he also asked if there was any sign of Percy, and she says no. Piper notes that this Percy guy's disappearance seems to be a big deal. And yeah, it is, Piper. And I would ask that you take this a little bit more seriously, because this is important to me. Then, a beautiful, glamorous Asian girl steps forward, looks at Piper like she's a week-old burrito. Those are the words that she uses, which I find fun. And so this is Drew. And I will give you one guess who her godly parent is.
It's not. Please tell me it's not Aphrodite.
Unfortunately, it is.
Damn it.
Oof.
Disregarding
I
the
know.
memory of my girl, Selena. She was nice.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know. And Piper immediately decides that they're destined to be enemies, which feels right, because Piper is not like the other girls,
No,
in case you forgot.
of course not.
Drew also says that she hopes that they're all worth the trouble. Jason says that they deserve some answers before they start being judged. Annabeth promises him answers and also tells Drew that all demigods are worth saving, even if the trip didn't accomplish what she hoped. And in a way, it's nice to know that the refusal to answer questions directly isn't just a Percy thing. Like, they do this to all new demigods, apparently. Annabeth says they gotta make their new arrivals feel welcome, and that hopefully they'll be claimed at the campfire that night. Piper asks what the heck being claimed means, and gets her answer in the form of Leo being claimed. A fiery hammer appears over his head. Butch says this is not good because of the curse, and Annabeth tells him to shut up. Jason recognizes it as the symbol of Vulcan. Leo says he doesn't even like Star Trek. It's a good joke.
Fantastic. This is also when Rick, I think it's like in this book series particularly, that he got really bored. So he's like, what am I watching? Oh, I'll just throw that in real
Yeah, we do start to get a bit more like pop culture references. And Annabeth says that Vulcan is the Roman name for Hephaestus. So Will is tasked with giving Leo a tour and taking him to cabin 9. Annabeth then kind of studies Jason for a minute, and I love that Piper's like, I don't usually like other girls looking at my boyfriend, but like, Annabeth studies him like he's a complicated blueprint, not a man. Like, okay. Also, is he your boyfriend? So, Annabeth asks him to hold out his arm. Turns out he has a tattoo, and it's 12 lines like a barcode, an eagle, and the letters SPQR. She asks where he got them, and he, of course, doesn't know, and he's getting real tired of saying that he doesn't know. And the campers also seem kind of uncomfortable with his tattoo. Annabeth then asks Drew to take Jason to see Chiron, and she takes Piper for a tour of camp, saying that they need to talk. And that's the end of 3.
We did it, fellas.
Other thoughts on chapter 3?
Man, it's gonna be weird seeing everyone from like outsider POVs.
I know it is. It is kind of crazy and kind of fun to see people from other POVs. Because, like, this is our first glimpse of Annabeth from a POV that is not Percy's or Luke's, I guess, because we read the Diary of Luke. But both of those people, like, really care about her. Like, this is our first experience with Annabeth from someone who doesn't know her, and she's not her best right now.
She's a little rough around the edges, but it's fine.
And I've already defended her for that,
She's
so
going through a lot.
we know where I stand. Right. Percy has been missing
Yeah.
for 3 days. That's... You know who else is probably freaking out? His mom.
Sally.
Perseus, call your mom.
God help the monster or God that took Percy. Sally will unleash her wrath on them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I find it kind of funny that, like, 2 episodes ago, we were just talking about how there was that thing about how adults can't read third-person books.
Yeah.
And now this series is in third person.
It's in third person. What is it? Semi-omniscient?
Is it?
Something like that.
Or is this, like, third-person limited?
Third person limited. That's what I meant. I came up with extra words. Jeez. I passed the SAT. I want you to know that.
Yeah, because, like, third-person omniscient is when you have, like, a third-person narrator who's, like, knows everything. But
technically, it is a
our
third person
characters
narrator.
don't know.
Well, like
It is. But it's, like, limited to what the character knows.
yeah.
Like, the character we're focusing on.
Right.
So, yeah, so how are you finding the third person, Julie?
I quite enjoy it. I think it's fun. Something different.
I think it's fun as well. I mean, I have more thoughts on the third person, but we'll get to that when they come. All right, so we have found out that Leo is a child of Hephaestus. Any thoughts on Piper or Jason's godly parentage?
Piper, we all know this. I don't know all of the gods and goddesses
Right.
at all. I still don't, and I never will. Let's be completely honest with ourselves. But Piper's got to be like the daughter of like someone who's big with persuasion, because she talked about how she didn't steal the car. She like somehow convinced the guy to give it to her. So I'm like, okay.
She did.
But when I tried looking it up, I wasn't sure. So I was like, I'm just going to go with that.
Okay.
Jason, I have no idea other than it's something to do with wind. But he's very Roman. Why does he keep bringing up all this Roman crap?
Wouldn't you like to know, Weather Boy?
He's got a Roman tattoo? Like, what are we doing?
Who knows? He's a little funky. Yes. Wind powers. Very interesting. So next time we've got chapters 4 through 6, and I think we should do what we did for the Percy Jackson series, and you should make predictions based on the chapter titles. So the chapter titles are Piper, and then 6 and 7 are Leo. So please.
I think this is going to be a jump. It's going to be a little leap. I think that Piper is going to be in Piper's point of view, and then the 2 chapters titled Leo are going to be in Leo's point of view.
Oh
But I'm not sure.
God.
I could be
Whoa!
What?
What a prediction!
That's
I
crazy.
know.
That's
A
crazy.
little worried about that one, but
What if you were wrong?
can you imagine? I'd just be like, wrap it up there,
It's
folks.
like, so actually, the Leo chapters are from Annabeth's
Exactly.
perspective.
Yeah.
So
Actually, it's just about Leo. We just learned about him.
Actually, as we remember, Leo died. He fell off the chariot on the way to Camp Half Blood. So R.I.P. Leo.
oh right, they threw him off because he was
Yeah.
being kind of toxic masculinity guy
Mhm.
for a moment there. And then I guess his ghost got claimed or something. I don't know. Yeah, so here we are. New book,
Here
new
we are in
series.
the future, and it's
Many questions to be
bright,
answered.
Nothing to fear.
What was
no
happening
one
in
to
Piper's
find.
dream? Who's her mom? Who's her
I
dad?
can't
Where did
believe
Jason come from?
We've come
What's
so
up with Leo?
far.
So many questions, so few answers.
Here's an answer.
Let's hope I get some.
Somebody should throw a brick.
Hmm.
It's Pride, you know?
Okay.
Hey, happy Pride. Throw a brick.
Right. Happy Pride. All right. Anything else before we wrap up this episode? Still can't believe Robert doesn't like Cars. What is wrong with you?
If you had to ask, because I've watched all 3 Cars movies, if you had to ask me what my ranking of the Cars movies, it'd be 3, 1, 2. And that's still putting Cars 3 at like a 4 out of 10 for me. Listen, the only
That's
good thing to come out of Cars was
wow.
ciao.
Julie, did you ever share your thoughts on the movie Cars?
Other than the Rascal Flatts song, no. I only probably watched it once and I don't remember.
Special bonus episode, watch
Yeah,
Cars.
We watch Cars.
except that the blue car is pretty and a girl. That's all I remember.
Mm-hmm. And she has a tramp stamp for whatever reason.
Didn't know that, but iconic.
All right, yeah, so I think that's all for now. Thanks for being here, Robert. You want to let the people know where to find you?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me. If you want to find me on the internet, I do a couple things. I run the Damn Meme Page, which is a meme page dedicated to making memes for podcasts and also memes in general, and also trying to be a Percy Jackson content creator TM. You can find me on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and YouTube. At the time this episode's coming out, in 2 days, is a YouTube video that I've been working on for many, many months, where I went to all the locations in the first Percy Jackson book, and I essentially do like an abridged retelling with some jokes of the first book. And that comes out on the 20th anniversary because y'all, Percy Jackson's 20 years old and crazy.
And you won't see me in the video, but I was there for the filming of
Mom,
some events.
you were there for a lot of the. You were my unpaid cameraman.
Except I did no actual filming. I sat there and watched you record on a tripod.
And then if you want to hear me podcast, I run 2 podcasts. One of them is called The Bits. It is a Steven Universe rewatch and analysis podcast. I highly recommend, if you have not watched Steven Universe, to not tune in yet, because we spoil the big twists in like the first couple episodes. And then a recent podcast that I started with the funny one on this podcast is a analysis podcast about the HBO Max medical drama The Pit. It's called The Pit Crew. See what we did there? Me, Mal, and former guests of the podcast, Camille, all talk about the show and all of
sure
its
do.
coolness.
Also a thing that you should not consume if you haven't watched the show, because we spoil all of that.
Nah, just watch it. It's fine.
As well.
Just watch it. It's listen note. It's fine.
But watch The Pit if you haven't. It's great.
Yeah, watch The Pit. Santos and Garcia should kill.
Happy Pride Month. Excellent. Also, I appreciate that you called me the funny one this time instead of just the gay one. So that's huge.
Yeah.
And also kind of rude to Julie, because
No, I'm catching strays.
I can't be the funny one and the gay one. Now you have to get Julie.
Julie is the put together one.
You know what? I'll take it.
That, yeah, okay. That's fair. And on that note, it's been fun. Can't believe we're starting another series. This is nuts.
All right, later, losers.
All right, bye, y'all. Hi, you can find us on social media at DemigodDebutPod. You can also find the links to all of our socials in the episode description. If you enjoy consuming this podcast, please consider leaving us a rating or review wherever it is you are listening. See you next time. Bye!